and it's just really interesting to see. It's probably my favorite start.
Yeah, for sure. And if you use your bombs correctly, you won't have to farm for any bombs later on as well for the back escape. So it looks like we're off now.
Right, so we won't get a chance to see what that starting item is going to be, but we do find the book immediately.
Oh, that's interesting. That opens up a possibility of an early pet check.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I'll be curious to see if they decide to immediately check that pedestal and get that early knowledge. But we are on our way to the escape now, just moments away for that to see what that starting item is going to be. Ooh,
King of Samaria. That's an. I like doing king strats.
Yep, I gotta say that's probably my second favorite start, aside from bombs.
Also a pretty good weapon to farm for bombs as well.
Yeah.
Some of the bombs, some of the weapons could be a bit hard to actually farm for any bombs in this game. So getting the cane, it doesn't drain too much of magic.
Yeah, but that free magic refill that you get just from receiving the cane from Uncle, yeah, it leaves you with so many uses of that cane, and I believe you can get 5 hits with the cane of Samaria block before it disappears, so you can really use that and abuse it, especially in the back portion of Escape where there's all these snakes and all the the mice. So all right, so we do have Unknown heading down into the escape first here.
Yeah, looks like he's making the guard just kill himself. Same going with Zunker, I mean. They're pretty on par so far. It looks like Zunker is using a little bit more time trying to farm for that magical one-drop bomb.
Yeah, can't blame them. When you go through escape and it's doing this the standard variation of the escape, having to go through and save Zelda and all that. You'd always love to find that bomb drop so you don't have to come back in here later on.
Yeah, for sure. Like most of the times, back of escape won't really have anything important, but it's nice to have that. Just check that off straight away.
Alright, so Zunker is the first one down here to the room with Zelda in her cell. Probably using my favorite, well, I was gonna say, you can throw 2 pots at the ball and chain guard and kill it outright, so. But it looks like Unknown is going to try to get him Sanders there in the corner.
Yeah, that works. That works as well. I believe the red cane does fighter sword damage, so not like the best damage, but it's very flexible at least.
Indeed. So we do have Zunker here with the slight lead here. It is, of course, extremely early, so that Unknown still definitely has, the possibility of catching up here. This back portion of escape as well can be a little tricky if you lose that rat in the sewers. So.
Yeah, and it's gonna be interesting early on to see if we get any divergence at all, or if both just do like the standard route of going to Kakariko and then doing South Shore. It could also like widely depend on what we get in Kakariko. It could be like strongly hinting for Death Mountain or something, and we see route divergence straight away.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting to see. I mean, as of right now, I'm really curious if that immediate book that we received in Link's house will, come into play here.
Yeah, it already it opens up Desert Palace. Not really too much of Desert Palace though, but it could be the intended access to Desert Palace for sure. Oh, and they get the bombs in the back of Escape.
Ooh, Unknown also
in
gets
this
an 8-bomb
chest.
drop too.
Yeah, he's probably feeling really good about that, and gonna open the chest right now and see like, oh, it didn't really matter.
Well, at the very least, that'll save Unknown from having to, potentially buy bombs in, Kakariko. Of course, if none of those chests in there have bombs either.
Yeah, and we haven't seen too many rupees so far, so can maybe spend those rupees on the bottle vendor instead. So a shield and moon pearl in the back of Escape. Wow, that's critical in this race.
Oh yeah, gotta love that early Moon Pearl. Now that Moon Pearl can also allow us to do some fancy sequence breaks as well. It'll allow you to activate that waterfall or that water walking glitch coming out of the waterfall of wishing. Should either of these runners decide that they want to do that. So that Moon Pearl does have some pretty cool uses early on.
Oh yeah, having the moon pearl, I think, increases the chances of seeing some early fake flippers. And getting the Quake medallion from the Sanctuary chest. It's too early to tell if that's going to be needed or not, but it's always nice to start getting them off early on.
Yeah, definitely. Like you said, you never know if you're going to need it, but, for all we know, that could be the only one we find this entire seed, and that could be what unlocks both Misery Mire and Turtle Rock later on, should we need to go in there. And Zunker showing us a tree pole there, only finding some hearts there, and the Hoarder also having hearts.
Yeah, and it looks like both our runners having the same idea, going up, checking Lumberjack straight away. Just a piece of heart, so Aga won't be needed for at least access to the item in the Lumberjack today.
Yep, that's a really great piece of information to get out of the way early. If there's a key item in there, then that means that they're going to try to likely find their way to Aghanim early, but with that only being a piece of heart, I don't see them going to Aghanim just for a single piece of heart.
Yeah, and Zunker just jumping straight down to the thief. That gives me the idea that he might be going for a pet check here. And oh, the hammer in the Lost Woods. We almost have Dark World access already.
Yeah, that is 2 of the 3 items that we need for Dark World access. We just need to find a glove now, and we'll be all set. And it looks like they're going to be pretty close to entering Kakariko at about the same time here.
Yeah, they've been keeping a good pace so far.
So this is where we'll find out if that 8 bomb drop that Unknown decided to farm for in the escape will, if that'll have some sort of impact here on the routing in Kakariko. If we don't find any more bombs in Zunker, we'll have to go and buy, 10 bombs from the shop here in Kakariko in order to check all the locations here. But there's the 3 bombs. That's not needed.
Yeah, that's nice getting more bombs, but I think they might actually buy some more bombs anyways, if they have the money to spare.
Yep, but less than 10 minutes in, we already have both canes.
Yeah, too bad we aren't playing bingo.
All right, so here's where the rupees start coming in. Found just 50 rupees there in the very first chest here in the well. Just a heart container here. And so far, just a ton more rupees, and there's our second shield there.
Yeah, the shields aren't like super important, but it's nice to have some defense, a little bit of extra, just defense in front of you.
Yeah, and of all the shields, I think that red shield, that fire shield, is probably my favorite of the three.
Yeah, it's probably the most impactful one for sure.
And so far, this seed is also being pretty generous with the health so far. Haven't even left Kakariko yet to have 6 hearts already.
Oh, and a nice 300 drop there. So
Yeah,
they almost have enough money for Sora at this point. And they do have the moon pearl to be able to fake flip her.
yeah, I'll be curious to see, if Unknown can find 25 more rupees here. I'll be curious to see if he decides to go and check out, do that whole fake flipper sequence into the Waterfall of Wishing and head on up to Zora as well. All right, so we did get a map check here. Looks like that was the blue pendant in Desert. Then we had our 5 and 6, or we had one of our 5 and 6 crystals up at Tower of Hera, and Eastern Palace was a crystal.
Yeah, 2 out of 3 Light World dungeons as crystals. That's always nice to see. And Zunker checking the dig spot straight away. Doesn't really pay off, but can at least stop worrying about that shovel now.
Yeah, and it's a really good time to route that in here. Immediately coming over here. If that's something that Unknown doesn't, remember to check till later on, this can actually be a pretty decent time save. That check in general can be a pretty decent time save for Zunker. Should Unknown check that later.
Yeah, and going back for the library, didn't do that earlier, and yeah, that was just a quiver upgrade as well.
Alright, so we just have some soggy arrows today. What will the dam hold here for us? And that's just another heart piece.
Yeah, so even though we have a lot of interesting items so far, we haven't really got too much of actual progression to progress us any further. And Unknown going to Desert straight away, that's an interesting play for sure. You can check out Aga Cave, which is notorious for holding out some important items so far, and you can actually enter Desert Palace as well with the book.
Yeah, this is a really interesting play from Unknown. I'll be curious to see if they decide to go into Desert or if they're just going to quit out and then finish the South Shore route, from here. Alright, well, it looks like they're leaving, so we may get a Desert check.
Yeah, I think if you decide to walk over to Aga, you might as well enter Desert as well. You can check one chest in Desert at the minimum, and you can also get the ledge.
Yes, there's just 20 rupees there on the ledge, so that's not going to be worth picking up here. But we do have Zunker in the dam right now. Let's see if they decide to, follow the immediate breadcrumb that we got from Link's house and come on over to Desert as well, or if they decide to finish up South Shore. So they're going to go on and continue with South Shore, Zunker is. So we'll see if Unknown has missed out on any key items over here. This mini Moldorm cave can be pretty lucrative early on.
Yeah, and Unknown only finding a map, so that means that desert is bootstrapped.
And Zunker making good use of that Cane of Samaria. These mini Moldorms can just bonk right into them, and makes this a pretty easy mini Moldorm cave when you have that Cane of Samaria.
Oh, I'm being rewarded with the first sword.
The first sword and the single best arrow in the entire game.
And once again, a really good item to find, but it doesn't really unlock anything.
Yeah, nothing so far.
So unless we have something in Ice Rod Cave, it's looking like Sahashla and Eastern is the play. We know that they're definitely gonna find the gloves before having Dark World access, or at least at some point, because of the Moon Pearl being in the back escape. They had the bomb, so but they will still need either the lamp or gloves in order to get those in the logic. So the logic doesn't really account for you getting back to escape in your first run through.
Right, so not much happening in that Ice Rod Cave. So it looks like your prediction was correct. It's going to be the Eastern Palace and Sahashla check that's going to be likely holding out in our next piece of progression here. Alright, so Unknown is going to go ahead and save and quit out of the Ice Rod Cave. It looked like there for a moment they were going to go and do that fake flipper that we talked about, but looks like they have decided against it and will be heading on over towards the Sahashla area now. Alright, and so far we just have blue mail, there's 300 rupees, and the mirror.
Oh, so getting mirror before having Dark World access, I like that. That will make routing in the Dark World so much smoother.
Alright, so we did see Unknown check Sahashla and see that the green pendant is going to be an Ice Palace this time around. So Zunker is our first racer into Eastern Palace. What can we find here? I mean, if I'm Zunker right now, I'm kind of hoping to find, maybe the lamp here. That way, Death Mountain would be a decent place to go next to, and we'd be able to complete pretty much all Light World, Death Mountain, and Tower of Hera. So I think if I'm Zunker, I'm hoping for a lamp at this point.
Yeah, for sure. Lamp would definitely unlock more or less everything on Death Mountain. And also, having the lamp is really nice overall, so you don't have to worry about the dark rooms anymore.
All right, well, there is the Power Glove, so that is our Dark World access, so not too bad. Sub 20-minute Dark World access. I'll take it.
Yeah, for sure. That's something that's really interesting by getting the hammer early. So, like, getting Darkwood access overall early, it's very interesting in Seed, I think.
Zunker having just a little bit of trouble in that room, but gets through it just fine. Alright, so now, having already found the big key, this big chest is the last chest in here that would be within sequence at this point, unless the lamp's in there. Yeah, it looks like we're gonna have to go through the dark rooms now. If there's any items that are, in this left chest, once you get through the dark rooms, that would be a sequence break at this point. And that item would not be able to lead to, the lamp.
Luckily, it's one of the easier dark rooms, especially if you have the sword as well.
Yeah, sword makes navigating dark rooms well, I don't want to say, makes it easy, but, because navigating dark rooms can be tricky at times. But having that sword with that the sparkles, from holding it out, it's definitely a huge help.
Yeah, it's always nice to have some form of way of knowing where you are in the dark room, and the sparkles from the sword is one of the easiest ways to do that.
Well, that was a very interesting way to step on that switch, using that blue cane and the cane of Berna to just get the invincibility, just to pick up that pot and walk right on it. Very nice from Zunker. And unknown availability, also getting that room there, saves and quits out, and we'll see where they decide to go from here.
Yeah, it looks like Zunker is heading for Dark World, going to the portal at Skullwoods and Outcast, and seems like Unknown is following in his footsteps.
Yeah, so far, pretty standard routing. Both runners, for the most part, making these same choices. I must say the only thing that's been different between the two of them so far is the check into the desert area for unknown availability. But, with blue mail and 6 hearts, it's going to make this, trip into the dark world a lot safer. And I think unknown availability is going to give us our pedestal check immediately.
Yeah, it looks like it. So get your pedestal hype in chat, because here we go. On pedestal we have just some couch cash, so pet is dead.
Yeah, unfortunately, pedestal is no longer required.
So Zunker going into Skullwoods, being rewarded with some extra defenses straight away. And I think I would agree with Zunker about going into Skullwoods. It's a pretty fast check, even though you can't complete the dungeon.
Alright, Unknown's going to give us the remainder of our crystals and pendant dungeons. So looks like Swamp was our other 5 and 6 crystal, and Misery Mire was our other pendant.
Nice bomb jump there for Zunker in order to be able to check the big chest. It's just a small key though. an unknown heading into Village of Outcast. Could full clear everything in Feast Town. Don't have to worry about the big chest because they already have the hammer.
Yeah, so I do like seeing this little bit of divergence already. Zunker going and doing pretty much, well, I guess you can almost call it the standard play now, going into Skullwoods immediately, and unknown availability not being able to, or not having that fire rod to get through Skullwoods, just gonna hold off on it for now. But they did pick up their ice rod.
Yeah, and that's an excellent find, considering Tetrock is a crystal. So that's one of those items that could really elude you. Looks like Zunker is going for a pet check as well.
Yep, and Unknown is the first one into Thieves Town. We'll be getting. We'll see if there's some good progression in here. So far, only 20 rupees.
Yeah, 4 items in Feast Town, and it's pretty fast and I'd say one of the easier dungeons to complete, and also a crystal, so it just makes sense to check it straight away.
Yeah, and even with just a fighter sword, blind, if you know the script for blind, the very first time you go in there to fight blind, it's always going to be the same fight that first time you're in there. So if you know the script, even having just fighter sword, it's not going to be too bad of a fight, because you're going to be dealing the same damage regardless of whatever item you use to damage a blind.
Yeah, and also the blind fight being one of those boss fights that could be 100% scripted, makes your health total not as important.
All right, so Zunker is heading down into the Village of Outcasts now. Will be picking up their ice rod here shortly, I would think.
Yeah, I do think so as well, unless disaster hits.
Yeah, you have to be just a little careful here. Even with red mail, damage can add up here pretty quick. You just got to be a little bit careful navigating through here. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if maybe after checking the chess game, Zunker goes into Thieves Town just to take a death warp to get that health back.
Yeah, for sure. Like, even though he has red mail, the damage from blind will always be the same, or at least the fireballs will always be the same. He could avoid a little bit of damage if he decides to face tank blind, but hopefully they could avoid doing any of those two.
Yeah, looks like Unknown Availability took an unfortunate death. Those, what I like to call grasshoppers in the attic here in Blind's Hut, or in Thieves Town. Those can be annoying. They do so much damage.
Yeah, for sure. Like, honestly, I think the grasshoppers or the crickets or whatever they are like the most intimidating enemies in this dungeon.
Yeah, I mean, most everything in this dungeon does, 2 full hearts of damage, if you're using green mail. Unknown Availability having blue mail, most things will be doing 1 heart of damage, so yeah, that damage can add up really quick. And those little green grasshoppers, ugh, they're a pain.
Yeah, luckily though, he did get the item from the addict of Fisttown, so won't have to climb all the way up again.
Yep, and we did see Zunker unfortunately taking a death here as well. But, you know, thankfully, that does kind of refill their health for heading into the more treacherous parts of this dungeon.
Yeah, and also luckily there's a few hearts here in the basement of Fisttown, so they could refill before the boss fight.
Alright, so 20 more rupees, and looks like Unknown was making sure that there was still a dungeon item out there, so we'll be going to check to see what's, well, actually, no. The last item is going to be on blind, because the, looks like that small key is going to be locked behind the key door in that big chest, so blind will be having the map. Yeah, it's a very interesting thing that they added back in version 28. You know, in this dungeon, there's a couple other dungeons where this can happen as well. You can have the, you know, the big key or, you know, a small key, like in this dungeon, be locked behind the small key door in the big chest.
Yeah, I definitely think that's interesting, and most of the times I think that it actually makes things easier for the runners.
Oh yeah,
And
definitely.
very quick blind fight from Unknown, getting his first crystal in about 30 minutes of time, so that's a pretty nice time to get your first crystal.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I really liked the use of the Cane of Burna there right at the end to make sure that that fight was going to be secured. So really good job there from Unknownavailability. It looks like Zunker is going to be onto that fight here very shortly, within the next minute or so.
Yeah, the Cane of Burna is a really interesting weapon, especially against blind, because it offers both defense and offense at the same time.
Alright, so will Unknownavailability find any buried treasure today here at the digging game? And there are the Titans mints. That's a fantastic find, and you know, having them here at the digging game, it really allows for some very convenient routing right now.
Oh yeah, for sure. It could have been placed much better than that.
And having the mirror, it can, you know, having the Titans mints there and the mirror, that can be very helpful for, you know, taking care of the blacksmith and even the purple chest while making this this southern route down to the Dark World.
Yeah, it looks like Unknown is gonna skip that for now, but is definitely gonna check the rest of the things over here. So getting a lamp from the old Stumpy, that's also a really good item to have. It's actually our first fire source as well.
Yeah, that's our first fire source, and not only is that our first fire source, but that unlocks the entirety of Death Mountain aside from Hookshot Cave at this point.
Yeah, that's true. Also giving them access to full clear Hera.
Alright, so Unknownavailability is onto our favorite cave in the game. You know, everybody's hype cave, if you will.
Yeah, and I think in version 29 it's actually been pretty hyped so far.
Yeah, version 29 has definitely brought some of the magic back to Hype Cave, for lack of a better word. But it looks like Zunker picked up their ice rod. They will now be heading on to the digging game to see what they can dig up here.
Oh, and well, didn't have too many items, but getting the hook shot, that would be hype enough for me.
Oh yeah, definitely. And now everything on Death Mountain is accessible, both Dark and Light World. And Unknown is heading up probably towards the pyramid at this point. He's going to be a little bit careful. He has one heart left. And interestingly enough, Zunker is also going to skip out on, checking the blacksmith and hammer pegs as well as the purple chest at this point.
Get an item that you don't really expect, so they might not even think about it until later that, oh, I could have done this as well.
All right, so Unknownavailability, finding the So Zunker checking out the Spectacle Rock Cave, only finding that heart container and seeing those 10 arrows on top. Probably won't go out of the way to pick those up. And once again, looks like we are back. So just wanted to say, just having a little bit of technical difficulties, but looks like we worked our way through that, and we are here and live and ready to continue on. So Zunker is into Tower of Hero, while Unknown is in the Spiral Cave, which is quite awful without the boots. Oh, and there are the flippers for unknown availability in that Spiral Cave, so that just opens up quite a bit now. So now we have all of the, these water locations, the waterfall of Wishing. There's also, Lake Helia Island, as well as the Hobo. So many locations just opened up. All of Swamp Palace as well.
Oh yeah, those flippers are essential, especially in the seed.
Yeah, and it looks like Zunker is going to be just taking a brief little rest here while these tiles pelt them in the face. Thankfully having those invincibility frames because they were on those platforms.
Yeah, it would be a pretty rough coffee break if you didn't get invincibility there.
Alright, and the Super Bunny Cave not really holding too much here. Now there are, good amount of locations here in the Hookshot Cave. And I'll be curious to see if this Quake is required to go into Turtle Rock.
Yeah, definitely in general so far haven't had too much. Just as I said that with finding bombos.
Yeah, so with that Bombos, that's another medallion, so that just increases the chance that we may get a chance to see what's in Turtle Rock.
And Master Sword as well. That makes them able to get the Ether Tablet.
Yeah, so there's the Master Sword, and Zunker only finding a piece of heart so far, and unfortunately takes the fall here. But another thing that Bombos medallion opens up, which, I don't think any of our runners would want to go into it right now, but it does open up Ice Palace as well.
Yeah, for sure. I think, yeah, as you said, both runners will probably try to avoid that, but sometimes there's no avoiding the seed.
Yeah, definitely. Alright, so that was the second and final item in Tower of Hera, just another bomb capacity upgrade. But, you know, not all is lost by coming into Tower of Hera. We did get this will be our second crystal once the dreaded Moldorm is defeated.
Yeah, and so one of the more, well, I wouldn't say like Mollum is one of the more scarier bosses. It's more of the arena that's like the biggest offender. But Zunker gets it done just fine.
Yeah, very well done there from Zunker. So that is going to be their second crystal. And Unknown Availability is going to be able to take a brief rest, but decides not to. Just going to keep that sword smacking around.
So even though Zunker doesn't have the Master Sword, could still read what's on the tablet and knows that they don't have to come back for it.
Yeah, and you know, that is, you know, a slight time save because you don't have to go through the that ether animation to you know, get the item from there, and so that will be that will, you know, save them a little bit of time over Unknown Availability here.
Yeah, like at this point, the hearts aren't really too important. They're starting to get a pretty healthy amount of hearts, and also having the red mail, like every single heart is worth so much more.
Yeah, like you just said, we're pretty much to the point where the hearts don't matter anymore. Well, finding more hearts don't matter. It's usually about the place where, you know, a lot of runners start feeling a lot more comfortable with their health pool for completing up the seed here. And Zunker grabbing their flippers here, so they'll be on their way to finish up the rest of the Death Mountain checks here.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting to see, as you said before, if Bombos or Quake is what we need to enter Turtle Rock. It could be a pretty quick check to actually go inside Turtle Rock right now, just to see if your fire rod locked or not. Because most of the times the dungeon is going to shut you out pretty quickly if the fire rod is needed early on.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting to see if Zunker decides to go in there, or at least open up Turtle Rock if they have the medallion for it. But Unknown Availability having a really good Moldorm fight as well, so they pick up their second crystal, and I'll be curious to see where they go, because they've already made these checks on Death Mountain.
Yeah, another solid Mollern fight. And so far, both runners have taken a very similar path in the seed. And I think that's partly because the seed has been pretty linear.
Yeah, it really has.
But the flippers, that definitely opens up a few possibilities. And
Yeah,
also
so
getting Spy Cave is really, really nice to get out of the picture.
yeah, so those flippers, they may be what leads to our first emergence in this race here. I mean, we saw a little bit early on, but it pretty much converged almost immediately, because it was just, you know, a couple checks over in the desert area for Unknown. So it is Ether for Turtle Rock, the only one that we have yet to see, so we know we're at least going to find all three medallions at some point.
Oh yeah, for sure. and we still have the possibility of having all three medallions being required. Something I don't hope is gonna happen for the runner's sake, because that would mean they would have to go into Ice Palace and Mr. Maya.
And it looks like Unknown is going to be heading on over to check what the Bombos tablet is going to have.
Yeah, and this is one of those checks that Zunker actually missed when he did the purple chest.
Yeah, because that's right, because Zunker did, they saved and quit out before turning in that purple chest. They couldn't come over here to see what was on this tablet. Now, they wouldn't have been able to get the item because they only had their, their fighter sword, but they could at least had the opportunity to see what would have been on there.
Yeah, and once again, just some health, so Zunker won't be punished by that of any kind. Though it kind of looks like Unknown is heading into Swamp here, and it makes sense. If you have to choose between doing Ice Palace and Swamp Palace, it kind of makes sense to do the one that's actually a crystal.
Yeah, plus there's so many item locations in here, and while it is a heavier item requirement, to get into this dungeon, just having that high volume of location checks and item checks, it can really hold some really cool, some really great progression.
Yeah, and as soon as they're done with Swamp Palace, they could actually check Fat Fairy as well.
Yeah, that's right. This is their second of the 5 and 6 crystals, so that'll open up even more to them. Alright, so now Zunker has finished up their Death Mountain checks. Let's see if they decide to do what Unknown has done and just go right on into Swamp Palace. And looks like they're getting prepared with that hammer, so we might get that same play.
Yeah, and I think it makes sense. Like, if you can full clear a crystal dungeon, that seems like a pretty good play to do. And it's interesting also, like, the more and more linear or like same decisions we see from both of the runners, the more the execution is going to play into who will continue to have the lead or finish first.
Yeah, because it's really interesting to see that both runners have pretty much done the exact same thing this entire seed. So, yeah, like you said, it's likely going to come down to routing. May even come down to something like you have one item to check and 5 different locations that you can check, and it might come down to something like that as well.
Oh, and there's a bow in Swamp Palace.
Oh wow! So with that bow, that gives access to 2 more crystals. So at this point, we're looking for at least ether and fire rod at this point.
Yeah, that's 2 hard requirements. I think both runners would be pretty happy to get another sword as well, but you could do Ganon with Master Sword even if that's not in the logic.
Yeah, because at the very least they do have silver arrows. So if we don't find another sword, at least it won't be as bad as having to do 24, 4th phase Ganon spins.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I think it's also worth mentioning that, like, Skull, unless Skullwoods has the Ether tablet, Unknown might never pick up that road mail, because they might be in go mode when they go to Skullwoods.
Yeah, yeah. You bring up a really good point there. In which case, execution would definitely play a huge factor. You know, Zunker would have the edge there on survivability. So Zunker is about ready to pick up that bow, and aside from that, we haven't really seen too much. We'll see if these left side chests that everybody likes to skip has some progression in there. And so far, it is just that big key and the map. So
yeah,
we'll see. Yeah, we'll just have to see if that big chest has something.
Yeah, if the big chest has the compass, then left side was completely useless to do. But it won't really matter for any of the runners since both are doing it.
Yeah, once again, it just makes this even more interesting. Both runners have really done the exact same routing, with the exception of Unknownavailability going to desert and, checking Agina's cave and, that first chest in desert. But,
yeah, I think the only other divergence was like Zunker did Skullwoods were the front of it, and then Zunker also did the Smith sequence while Unknown checked the Sora and Catfish. But none of those locations had anything like critical to clearing the seed.
yeah, with those, slightly different routing choices, still really impressive that they're both in the same dungeon, almost, just a couple rooms apart here.
Yeah, it's gonna be super interesting if this continues, if they are this close to each other in Gunnar's Tower as well later on.
Yeah, and finding that bow, I hate to say it, but both these runners are probably going to go and finish off Eastern Palace as well as Palace of Darkness, so we're probably going to be seeing the same routing after leaving this dungeon as well. I think the only difference is, Unknownavailability won't have to make the pyramid and catfish checks.
Yeah, and that makes very much sense. In some ways, maybe that's even better for Zunker, because they're probably gonna have to take the big bomb to the pyramid anyways.
Yeah, that'll work out very nicely for them.
So having Master Sword on Argus doesn't really make this fight too much harder, but it does make it a little bit longer.
Oh, just a tad bit early on that first silver arrow. go.
Yeah,
And
Link is
there we
not the
go.
only one in this game who can exploit being invulnerable sometimes.
Yeah, definitely. But with that is the third crystal now for Unknownavailability at about 1 hour in, so making pretty good pace with this seed. And And yeah, so once again, we're really just looking for that fire rod in that ether medallion now, and we will actually be in go mode. So not too
Yeah.
much left to find here.
The
The only
only
question is, where is it going to be?
Yeah. The only thing except for that could be required is the boots in case of the torch in Genesar.
Yep, that is still a possibility as well. And in the event that the fire rod or the ether medallion is in the mire area, we may still have to find the flute as well. And Zunker gets that first silver arrow in on Argus here and takes down the boss with no issues. So now they have their second, or excuse me, their third crystal, their second of the 5 and 6 crystals. So they'll be able to check the Pyramid Fairy here as well.
And the Pyramid Fairy was pretty much useless. So by no surprise, it looks like Unknown is heading towards Pod.
Yeah, that looks like that is what's going to be the play here. I mean, if nothing else, we'll at least be able to get 2 more crystals just by coming over here. We'll be able to clean up Eastern Palace as well as Pod. So if we don't find the items over here, you know, still no big loss. We got to do this anyways.
Yeah, for sure. And there's 5 items in Pod. I think there's still 1 item left in Eastern as well. So that's a pretty good amount of items to get for clearing 2 crystal dungeons.
Alright, Unknownavailability doing really well not to get hit there with Kiki, and is going to save having to bring Kiki back. Because if you do get hit there, Kiki decides to run away and then makes you pay them 10 more rupees just to bring them over to the Palace of Darkness to open it up. Alright, so we did find that first chest being a key, so we don't immediately have to go right side here. But looks like Unknownavailability is just going to go ahead and you know, get this side taken care of here.
Yeah, I wouldn't blame him for doing that. Like, they're gonna have to go right side sooner or later, most likely.
Yeah, and Zunker not too far behind. So once again, very, very similar routing all the way through here. And silver arrows making those Marias die so easily. Alright, so it's been a pretty standard start here to Palace of Darkness. Just a bunch of keys. We saw a map thrown in there, but yeah, nothing to be, nothing out of the ordinary here in Palace of Darkness so far.
Yeah, it's most of the times you'll find all the items in the back, so that's where Unknown is heading right now. I looked away for a second. Did Unknown get the big key before heading to the back now?
I don't remember seeing the big key. So that is...
Then Yeah, no big key. So there's a possibility of it being in one of the chests in the front still, which would be unfortunate.
Yeah, so we may have to see some backtracking here. All right, so there's our compass.
So we're having a little bit of technical issues right now with the tracker not really responding, but we'll get that fixed as soon as possible.
Ooh.
Oh, temper. I think that's probably the most impactful sword upgrade you can get.
Oh yeah, definitely. If for nothing else, then just for that Ganon fight, it's gonna save you from having to do all spin attacks with that Master Sword. And interestingly, did not find the big key, so unknown availability is gonna have to do a little bit of backtracking here. And they're actually taking the long way around here. It's kind of interesting to see. You don't, this isn't, key sanity, so you won't have to worry about running out of keys, for these locations. So it's really interesting to see them go all the way around just to avoid unlocking that first door.
Yeah, that's definitely interesting. Wouldn't be too surprised at this point if Unknown just banks for Helmasaur having the last item, so maybe they won't have to go back to the big chest anyways. But then again, you do need the big key before you go to Helmasaur.
Yeah, and unknown availability is going to find that out here really quick. Yeah, they'll be heading on back and won't know it until they get to the boss door that they don't have that big key.
Yeah, this is really unfortunate. Won't be the biggest time loss, but like in a race like this, every second counts.
Yeah, this might be what Zunker needs to kind of retake the lead here.
Yeah, and we'll probably not realize that the big key is missing until they get all the way to the boss.
Yeah, it looks like Zunker is taking a extended pause here. I'm not quite sure what's going on here. And there is that information for unknown, not realizing they don't have that big key, so they got to go back and pick that up. All right, so the action does continue on here for Zunker. And yeah, with using that small key, unknown availability has to take the long way around again. This is definitely a time sink that's gonna hurt here in Palace of Darkness.
Oh yeah, I did not even think about that. And also they have found the map and all the small keys at this point, or at least Zunker has, including the compass as well. So that means the big chest will have something of value, or at least it's going to be an item that's not connected to the dungeon.
Yeah, and Zunker will give us that information here as to what that is. So this could be huge. And it's just a piece of heart, so not going to be too impactful, but definitely something that Unknown Availability is going to have to consider going back to pick up. You know, considering, like you said, we found all the dungeon items, we have all the small keys, so there's really nothing else in here but items for Unknown to pick up.
Yeah, at this point, you're looking for 2 items for potentially having go mode. I don't think you skip any chests.
Yeah, especially chests that are kind of out of the way. I mean, I can see, skipping, say like something like left side and swamp, but something like this that it's definitely time consuming. We've already even been back there. I don't know. So we'll see what Unknown decides to do here. Will they go back and check that big chest, or will they just go right on to Helmasaur and say, forget it for now? I can honestly see Unknown skipping it just because they've already been back there and they've already wasted so much time here in Palace of Darkness.
Yeah, it would definitely be a gamble to skip it, but as we know, it would be a gamble that would pay off.
Yeah, so it's one of those tough decisions, It's like, do I go back there and check it? And yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, knowing, like, Unknown obviously knows that they spend way more time in this dungeon than they would have liked to do. So might just see that they feel like they have to skip it at this point in order to make back some time. Zunker going with the strats of not holding out the sword. This is the faster strat and makes a very nice fight here with a silver arrow straight to the face, one shot.
Yeah, very well done there for Zunker. And that is our first bottle of the game.
Oh yeah, that's right. We haven't had a single bottle so far.
And it's probably the best kind of thing you can find in that bottle, a blue potion, so that's going to be a really nice safety for later on.
So who knows, maybe Sick Kid has been holding the fire rod all this time.
Yeah, maybe that's why the Sick Kid is sick, breathing fire. That's not fun.
Yeah, it doesn't sound all too healthy.
Alright, and just as expected, Zunker is on into Eastern Palace. Now, if we don't find an item here, aside from that Sick Kid check, where would you go? Would you decide, would you, maybe gamble on going into Turtle Rock? Well, no, we can't because we don't have Ether. So I guess it would be Ice Palace at this point, or those the flipper areas that were recently unlocked.
Yeah, that kind of looks like the play at this point. I think for Unknown it would make a lot of sense to check Sick Kid, because they could also do the Smith sequence at the same time. Also, they haven't checked Skullwoods yet. But yeah, flipper locations seems like that's the play at this point.
Yeah, and that also to note here for Unknown, that was a very good Helmasaur fight from them as well. And they are right on the heels of Zunker in Eastern Palace now. This is also one of those fights where having silver arrows can really help out.
And already clearing most of this dungeon, just super fast to go straight to the back and go against the armors. And also having the silver arrows will make the boss fights super fast as well.
Yeah, 1 silver arrow per Armos Knight, and that is all she wrote. And there is Ether. Oh boy.
Oh, now that's interesting though. Now they could actually enter Turturok, but that would be... I would definitely call it a gamble, because they could be fire rod locked straight away, and then they wasted all the time going up that mountain just for a fast check. But then again, if the fire rod is in Turturok, like, that would be go mode.
Yeah, so let's just get a little spicy here. There's definitely some gambles that can be made. That fire rod could very well be inside of Turtle Rock. I mean, it's definitely not been a stranger to being in Turtle Rock in the past. But looks like Zunker, not saving and quitting, will probably head on up to Catfish. Maybe check out the Zora area and make use of those flippers here.
Yeah, that makes sense. Having the flippers, they could check everything at one single go, and maybe even decide to swim over to Ice Palace straight after.
Yeah, that's
It's also interesting that no one actually did any fake flippers so far, so Hobo could have been holding Fire Rod this whole time.
Yeah, that's something really interesting to know. We haven't really seen any major sequence breaks so far. I think the only thing that we could consider a sequence break that we've seen would be that Dark Room in Eastern Palace, but nothing was beyond that. So yeah, no sequence breaks, no fake flippers, no dark rooms. It's been pretty straightforward so far.
And once again, it looks like Unknown is having like the same thought process, checking out the flipper locations.
Yeah, and having already checked Zora and the Catfish, they'll be able to save some time there. All right, so it looks like Zunker is on up to Zora right now. Gonna be highly disappointed with what they find here.
Yeah, 500 rupees for 5 bomb upgrade. Not too much of value. I think you could probably invest those rupees in something else.
Yep, and looks like with Unknownavailability coming up here to check the Waterfall of Wishing, that means that Hobo did not have that fire rod, because that is the only thing we are missing now. And Zunker is on their way back into the Dark World. I'm curious to see what decision they make and where they decide to go. Looks like Unknownavailability is going to head back down towards that Ice Palace area and is going to be heading on in there with Bombos in hand.
Yeah, and I think Zunker realized that they skipped Bombos earlier.
Yep, this is definitely it's a good check, at least for having the peace of mind that you've didn't forget something that could potentially be major. So can't really fault Zunker for coming to make this check before proceeding on.
I also want to give some shout-outs for our amazing tracker, Raspberry Floof, keeping us up to date on everything during the seed.
Yes, thank you very much for keeping everything on track during these technical difficulties with having the tracker going down. So thank you very much for keeping up on it and keeping everybody in the action here. And it looks like Zunker has now made their way on over towards Desert. They won't be able to get much out of here. As we did see that, the very first chest had, I believe it was either the map or the compass.
Yeah, it was the map, and yeah, here we see that like early play that didn't pay off for Unknown doesn't really hurt them at all, because as long as your opponent makes the same play either straight away or later on, like, then you won't have been losing any time at all.
Yeah, and another thing, I'll be kind of curious to see if Zunker decides to, well, no, because, never mind. Never mind. I was thinking something, and it's not going to be, yeah, never mind. Yeah, I was going to mention the torch because Unknown didn't check it, but there's really no need to check it because you know it's going to be either the small key or the big key.
Yeah, it has to be at this point. It is interesting though, this is a pendant, so they might not have to complete this, so they could actually go back and steal the small key and check the right side to see if the fire rod is there.
Yeah, that is a really good idea. Unfortunately though, with the lack of sequence breaks that these runners have not done, I guess you can say, I don't know, it would be surprising if they did that.
Yeah, following the logic is a really good way to like be able to tell what to do next, like what the seed expects you to do. Too many sequence breaks sometimes could lead to confusion.
Unknownavailability onto this last portion of Ice Palace. Still have yet to find anything, and there's the powder.
That unlocks at least one more location. And it's a pretty nice safety to have before going to Turtle Rock and Gannis Tower.
Yeah, especially for for these later dungeons that are just littered with anti-fairies. You can powder them for fairies and keep your health up quite a bit. So it's pretty valuable find there. Oh man.
Oh, and the powder and mushroom in the same dungeon. That's pretty funny.
So this is the dungeon of Fetch Quest this time around. Fetch Quest Palace, if you will.
Yeah, so it was a pretty good read from the runners not to go check Sick Kid before going to Ice Palace then. Then they could do both Powder and Sick Kid in one trip to Kakariko. So I do believe it looks like Zunker is gonna head into Ice as well. Yeah.
Yeah, once again, it's just, I can't say this enough. It's been crazy how similar the routing has been for both these runners. I mean, there has been, a degree of linearity to this seed, but the slight, routing differences. I mean, in the end, it's pretty much been, same routing decisions. Aside from a couple here and there. a couple odds and ends, but yeah, still quite amazing to see how similar it's been.
Yeah, for sure.
But we do have unknown availability into the cold stare fight here. And another thing here, this is the green pendant, so Sahasrara, that green pendant turned into Sahasrara is also an additional item check we'll be able to get out of here.
So triple fetch quest then from Ice Palace.
Yeah, it is, once again, Fetch Quest Palace this time around.
They are probably happy though that they went into pod before this, so they have tempered against cold stare. Makes a pretty huge difference than using the Master Sword or having to use the hammer.
Yeah, anything less than Tempered Sword on Cold Stare, and it hurts. So, looks like unknown availability. They started here at the Sanctuary after saving and quitting. Looks like they are going to be heading on over toward Kakariko. We'll see if they make up these other checks here with that bottle, the powder as well. It's going to be kind of difficult to route in that mushroom because they've already made all the checks in that part of the map that they can.
Yeah, that's definitely the most annoying of the fetch quests. So at this point, not having the flute or the boots like that, it makes it. You don't really have any reason to go up there except for just turning in the mushroom.
Yeah, the only thing that I can see that these runners may do is, route that into the graveyard ledge, because that's something we haven't seen yet. I think that would be the best time to go and check the mushroom, just so you can get an additional check in, without having to go out there for just one location.
Yeah, you're right. We haven't seen graveyard ledge. I didn't even think about that. That's something that's been open for them ever since they went into Thief Town.
Yeah, it's been open to them, yeah, since we initially got Dark World access. They've had that mirror for quite a while now. But looks like Unknown is going to be doing the blacksmith and purple chest here. So this gives Zunker some time to clear out Ice Palace and then decide where to go next.
Yeah, even though there's been minor divergence in routing, both runners have been cleaning up what the other one checked and the other one skipped.
Yeah, and I don't know about you, but I am really excited to see how this race is going to turn out. I mean, these runners are just neck and neck.
Yeah, Unknown will be cleaning up these checks over here, and while he's done with that, Zunker should probably be done in Ice Palace, so it should basically be tied at this point, most likely.
Yep, and Zunker showing the pain that is these ice floors in Ice Palace. It is the worst trying to gain traction on this.
Oh, and going for a very interesting bomb jump here. I haven't actually seen this before.
That is very nice. And Unknown now into the Bat Cave. What will the magic bat hold for us today? And it is the flutes.
Oh, so that opens up Meyer as well, since we have all the medallions.
That is not what you wanted to see at this point. Now we have an additional dungeon to check. If Virod is not in the Mire Shed. Or, of course, Checkerboard Cave.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the flute was most likely an item they were hoping never to find, but at least that's gonna make it a little bit easier for them to check the mushroom.
Yeah, and that'll also be easy for them to check the purple chest because, Unknown has checked that tablet down there, so they can just flute on down to 7 and turn in that purple chest, and then flute on over to 2 to turn in that mushroom. Also, my gut is still telling me that Turtle Rock is gonna have that fire rod. I don't know why, but
Ooh, Zunker's gonna have to be careful here, having half a heart. Does have a blue potion still, I believe. Oh no!
no, they actually use the blue potion to get across and do the bomb jump, the Ice Palace bomb jump, that infamous bomb jump.
Oh yeah,
Because
right.
they went into that room, I believe, with maybe a heart and a half, maybe 2 hearts. So unfortunately, had to burn that. With half a heart, this can be a very dangerous room. These fire bars can be a pain, and these berries in here can be, quite annoying as well. If I'm Zunker, I would be tempted to use bomb boosts just to get them out of the way.
Yeah. Let's hope he can make it to the powder, and then he could get a health refill.
Ooh, Unknownavailability finding another blue potion in the Mire Shed. Ooh, Zunker so close to stepping on those spikes. That was, nearly gave me a heart attack there. Thank you, Zunker. Alright, so Checkerboard Cave and Mire Shed not having that fire rod. What does Unknown do now? Looks like they're going to go on up into Skull Woods.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Gonna
Never
check the
mind.
mushroom first, though. Like, checking Skullwoods is so much faster than doing, like, the Mire Dungeon. And Zunker getting that fairy. So, a little bit more safe at this point.
And yet another piece of heart. So, Ice Palace, aside from that flute, not really bringing us much of anything here. We got, just a reminder, we got that flute through the powder from the magic bat. So, looks like Unknownavailability is going to go ahead and check out, Crystal Skull Woods before going into another pendant dungeon. Can't blame them.
Yeah,
And
so that also means that Unknown will get the red mail, and it looks like Zunker is going for the Turtle Rock play.
oh boy, this could be big.
Yeah, if the fire rod turns out to be in Turtle Rock, like, that changes everything.
Yeah, at this point, it's down to a few locations now. It could be in Misery Mire, could very well be in Turtle Rock. It could also be, from that green pendant turn-in. We have yet to see, either of these runners, turning in that green pendant. But if it is here in Turtle Rock, this is going to be huge. I think if you're Zunker at this point, the last thing you want to see here in Turtle Rock is going to be the boots. Reason for that is if you get boots, that's going to open up the desert. That's also going to open up, you know, Bonk Rocks, King's Tomb, all these different locations that you just really don't want to check.
Yeah, that's true, but then again, they could later fire rod, and I don't know. I think it's pretty nice to have the boots going to Ganon's Tower just for that, in case of the big key being on the torch.
Yeah, true. Yeah, usually with me, if I'm, you know, after an hour and a half into a seed, last thing I want to see is boots, because I wish I would have had them an hour and a half earlier.
Yeah, that's true. Especially if they have been available for you for quite some time. But the big keys straight away, that means it cannot be in Turtle Rock.
Yeah, Turtle Rock is out. And yeah, it looks like Zunker is going to continue on in here to find out that they don't have the keys required here.
Yeah, they found a key, but it's the wrong key. And Unknown going for the same play here.
See, wow, this is so interesting. They're taking the exact same plays.
So
But,
yeah,
you
it
know,
looks like Green Pennant, Graveyard Ledge, or Mire.
yeah, and Zunker hasn't gone to the Village of Outcasts to the, well, actually Kakariko to the Powder Bat, Magic Bat to get that flute yet. So that's probably why they headed into Turtle Rock. But, wow, I mean, the decision making here has been, it's been astounding to see pretty much the same plays from both of these runners. Wow, I'm speechless.
Yeah, it's interesting for sure. Like, there's so many choices to be made, and they definitely seem to have the same thought process.
Yeah, you made a really made a really good point there. With so many choices in, you know, a randomizer, it's really interesting to see that a lot of the same choices have been made. Oh, it's really interesting. But Zunker is about ready to pick up that flute, which will lead them to Misery Mire.
Like, imagine if they go to Mire now, and Mire give them the boots. They will have done 3 pennant dungeons straight after each other, and then turns out the Fire Rod has been in Graveyard Ledge the whole time.
Yeah, that's a very real possibility. So we see a question here in chat: is Aga Fire Rod possible? At this point, Aga Fire Rod is not possible. The only thing that Aghanim will unlock at this point is the Lumberjack Cave, and the Lumberjack Cave didn't really have much in there. I think it was just a piece of heart.
Yeah,
So,
I think it was a piece of heart as well.
Uh,
And even if it did, they would still need the boots.
yeah. Alright, so Unknown is going to be heading back into the Dark World.
Oh, might be seeing that Graveyard Ledge now.
I mean, we've seen all the other checks here. That has to be what Unknown is going to be checking now.
Yeah, I think so as well.
And Zunker is off to the Mire area. So once they check the Mire Shed and the Checkerboard Cave, I mean, at this point, I'd still be really tempted just to hop into Misery Mire. I mean, even though there are only 2 items in there, there's Butter Sword up on the Bumper Cave ledge, so we probably won't see that from either runner here.
Most likely not. But yeah, that might be the first time we saw Bumper Cave.
Yeah, even though there are only 2 items inside of Misery Mire, I'd be very interested to see if that is going to be the play from Zunker here.
It's also interesting that like both runners cleared the green pendant, but no one turned it in. And that's a very easy miss to do sometimes. Like sometimes you don't realize that you picked up the green pendant.
All right, and yeah, Graveyard Ledge not having the Fire Rod. So Unknown Availability, they're getting ready to flute away. Let's see if they go to Mire or to go turn in that pendant. And it looks like Mire is going to be the choice. As is for Zunker. So this is going to be literally almost a virtual high five from both these runners heading into Misery Mire. This is insane how close this race is.
Yeah, once again, they're syncing up right after doing checking the other things that the other runner did earlier.
All right, so Zunker with the slight lead on into Misery Mire.
Oh, and I missed that Zunker actually did not clear out the boss in Ice Palace.
Oh, that could be really huge.
For some reason, I thought they did.
Yeah, if for whatever reason the Fire Rod isn't here, I mean, there's really few locations left to check. I mean, I'm trying to think here of what all we haven't seen.
Yeah, it would be if we get the boots that would unlock Desert and King's Tomb and Bomb Rocks.
Oh yeah, we could have that vanilla boots from Sahasrahla even.
Yeah, that would definitely be something to behold.
All right, so both of our runners pretty much made a nice high five there, and both going through this dungeon following the same sequence here. It's pretty standard though for Misery Mire.
Yeah, I think so as well. Not having a small key, you kind of forced to go to the right side straight away.
Yeah, and so we have Zunker on into this crystal switch room. Gosh, this is like 6 or 7 seconds apart. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, if the Fire Rod turns out to be in Mire, this will be a really close race. Because they have all the same equipment.
Alright, so we did see just a little bit of divergence here. So Unknown Availability going to be heading on toward the vanilla big key chest. And Zunker not too far behind here.
Yeah, and not having the Fire Rod, they would be forced to do it the intended way that the developers made this.
There we go. So Unknown Availability in the dreaded cutscene here. Looks like Zunker barely missed that.
Oh, and so close to missing it again, but it gets it just in the nick of time. And there's a fire rod.
Fire rod. So unknown availability at about 1 hour, 45 minutes, and 45 seconds will be the first to enter go mode. So it's just a trip to Mothula and a trip into Turtle Rock, and we will be into Ganon's Tower.
Yeah, and Zunker will just be seconds behind. This is gonna be a race based on pure execution.
Yeah, this is gonna come down to the wire. This is insane. And you know, you still got to throw this possibility out there. The Ganon's Tower big key on the torch. We still could be looking for boots.
Yeah, for sure. That would be like devastating for the runners.
Yeah,
like,
but at the very least, we are in dungeon go mode. But man, that Ganon's Tower big key big key on the torch, that would be the most awful nail in the coffin to this seed.
they will have to go through Turtle Rock, and you have to shake a lot of chests even in go mode in Turtle Rock, so there's a pretty good possibility they could find boots in there.
All right, so both these runners, literal seconds apart from each other, entering in Skull Woods. Wow, this is going to come down purely an execution from this point on. Now, I mean, we could see some routing differences in Ganon's Tower, but if this seed has been any indication, we probably won't see much of a divergence.
Yeah, I can agree about that. And Unknown using the Ether medallion in order to be able to save as much magic as possible. Like, it's always nice to have a decent amount of magic going into the Mothula fight.
Yeah, the having magic is, a tempered sword's not 100% necessary, but it is a good tool to have if Mothula decides to be a pain and hug, say the top portion of the room.
Yeah, and Mothula not making too much annoyance so far. Unknown gets him down. Really good fight from Unknown, and Zunker is just right behind him, getting it done as well.
Yeah,
like,
this is very close.
For Turtle Rock at the same time now.
Yeah, at this point, 14 seconds separate these two runners. This is crazy.
Yeah, one mistake could decide this game for sure at this point, or like a little bit of difference in some executions. Like there's small differences that will make up this race at this point.
Yeah, I mean, it could very easily come down to, simple routing in Ganon's Tower. Maybe even a flubbed, gauntlet room even. I mean, it's insane that this race is so close. I mean, I know I keep saying it, but this is crazy. right, so both runners on up through and well into and through the Super Bunny Cave here in just a moment. We'll be heading on into Turtle Rock and towards the finish line of this race eventually.
Yeah, this will be their last crystal. It's a pretty good placement to get your last crystal. You can just walk straight over to Gannis Tower after this. And both runners already checked the first chest in Turtle Rock, so they have the same amount of checks to do here.
Yeah, it just blows my mind just how similar the routing has been in this dungeon or in this seed for both these runners, making all the same checks, doing all of the same dungeons in the exact same order. I mean, there's been slight differences, you know, here and there, but for the most part, it's been the same decisions right after each other, and this is just crazy. And it looks like Unknown is going to take the long way around here. So this is going to be even closer here after that.
Yeah, and Zunker took like a fall by hitting one of the enemies, so both of them like making a small mistake at the same time. But yeah, this is so close at the moment. They're in the same room, high-fiving. They're gonna be high-fiving throughout this entire dungeon, most likely.
Yeah, and there was a red potion in a bottle this time. Another really good safety item. You know, means we won't likely have to go and purchase potions for the rest of the seed.
Yeah, and that could be a decider as well. I think Unknown still has one blue potion left, but Zunker do not have any potion. Yeah. Oh wait, I think maybe they bought potions when they turned in the mushroom. Now that I think about it, like having potions could be critical going up the gauntlet.
Yeah, definitely. So,
And
you know, I'm sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
no, I was just gonna say they also have the powder, so that's a good safety.
So, one thing I'm really curious about is if you're either of these runners, where do you think the other runner is going to be considering what we've had to go through this seed? Do you think you're behind, or do you think you're still kind of sitting pretty right now?
I'm not sure. I think both runners made a few like slight missteps that won't matter too much, so maybe they would feel behind because of that. But like going to Meyer, I would feel like that would be the last check for most people, especially since you had to do ice palace before even going there. So I think they should probably feel like they're in a good spot or slightly behind. Like not, I don't think any of them feel super behind at least. Then again, like when me personally, I always think like the other runner is gonna outrun me, so that could be one way that you could feel behind as well. Like every single slight mistake you make, you just think that your opponent will not make any mistakes at all.
And looks like Zunker is trying to decide what they want to do here. Are they going to go check that last chest? This is buying time, or giving Unknownavailability the opportunity to make a little bit larger of a lead here.
Yeah, they already had the big key, so they should not be forced to check that chest. But then again, like there's quite some time before last time they were here, so they might not remember having the big key.
All right, and with that, Unknownavailability has built up, you know, a slight lead here from not going to check that chest. And so, once again, this could very well come down to routing choices in Ganon's tower, execution, alone in Ganon's tower. And when I say this, I don't wish that, anything negative on these runners, but, a fall of any kind, can really make a huge difference here.
Yeah, for sure. And the roller room only having a big 20, so laser bridge will be required to get the last key. Zunker did get another key from the middle chest, but also had to spend a key to get that one, so that won't really help him out. He's gonna have to be a little bit careful about the magic here. They should have enough to use the red key one more time.
Yeah, and looks like, I would imagine Zunker goes and picks up, that magic refill and those couple of hearts out here on the right-hand side, just to make sure we got, a good safety net for going through the laser bridge, and that was proven wrong. All right. I feel like that is the theme of what I go through.
Yeah, they might not realize like the potion issue until later on, or maybe they like you could do laser skips, but it's definitely harder without the boots.
Yeah, this is really interesting here. Zunker is going to be down here at the bottom chest first, and will likely be picking up the small key just seconds after unknown availability here. So this just got a lot more closer. It looks like unknown availability was having a little bit of trouble with getting that chest.
Yeah, and Zunker just using a potion, so having magic. So laser bridge shouldn't be too much of an issue. Yep, and we'll be following Unknown's footsteps. They will probably be holding the crystal in about the same time.
Yeah, this is so close here. So unknown availability entered that fight at 1 hour, 58 minutes, and 19 seconds. Let's see when Zunker enters into the Trinex fight.
Very good first phase from Unknown there. Getting both of the heads down without having to use a potion for more magic. And Tempered makes this last phase so much shorter than if you have Master Sword, or easier if you have to use Hammer.
Yep, so when entering his fight, Zunker is about 49 seconds behind unknown availability. And a very good fight for unknown availability here on Trinex. And gets their 7th crystal. So Walter, you know what time it is, right?
Yeah, I do believe it's time for the big key guessing game, right?
Indeed. So now, for any of you out there, you have the opportunity of joining our leaderboard if you have been subscribed to any of the speed gaming channels or have donated 250 bits. Once again, you have the opportunity of joining our leaderboard. Now, if you haven't subscribed or donated those 250 bits, no worries. You can still participate and have fun in this event. There's 22 locations that this big key can be in. So go ahead and get your guesses in. So Walter, where do you think this key is going to be today?
I'm not sure. I didn't do a guess, but if I was unknown, I would go check the torch straight away.
I am right there with you. But, if I had to guess a number of any kind, I would say maybe 15 today.
The funny thing, though, is like, even if it turns out that the big key is on the torch, it's a pretty good possibility to boost her in Ganon's tower as well.
Yeah, indeed. So there's 2 locations on the right-hand side, and neither of them had a small key, so we got to go to the left.
And just a blue rupee on the torch, so they will probably not need boots unless they are really fond about that blue rupee.
All right, so there are 3 locations down. That makes number 4.
Yeah, and Zunker decides to go left as well.
All right, so 7 locations down for unknown availability. Now, since unknown availability was the first one here in Indiana's Tower, we will be using their numbers for this big key guessing game. All right, so that was location number 8 for unknown availability. And unfortunately misses that boomerang shot, so that's going to give Zunker a little bit more time to catch up here. I mean, in this race, every second counts.
Yeah, for sure. Like, this is gonna be a race to the wire for sure. Oh, Zunker taking a fall, having to do this room again. And for some reason, one of the stuff has appeared again.
All right, so that is 9 locations down for unknown availability. There is number 10, 11, 12 has the cape, and 13, there are the boots all the way in Ganon's Tower.
Yeah, they're looking to have a pretty big collection of items at this point. But that's not really what they're looking for anymore.
No, and I think that completely fills out the item tracker for these guys. Aside from that that butter server, we know where that is, so now that these runners are going to be picking that up.
At least the boots is gonna be nice to have for that last room before Aga.
Yeah, and
the
unknown
dashing.
availability here picks up that pot, so we're going to have to do the bomb jump. So if unknown availability, has a little bit of trouble with this bomb jump, this gives Zunker a chance to catch up here.
Yeah, luckily for Unknown, that bomb jump is very forgiving. Like, it's not pixel perfect that some other bomb jumps are.
Yeah, it's a pretty free one. So that's number 14. Still no big key. So will we see a potential vanilla big key, or will it be in that dreaded tile room? Let's hope not.
Yeah, for the runner's sake, I really hope not.
There's number 15, 16, and 17. Still no big key. So all we have left is the right side and that tile room. 5 locations left.
Yeah, right side is to play for sure.
And very smartly, unknown availability is going to skip that tile room and save it for the absolute last location.
Yeah, I think that most runners will leave that for last unless they're feeling like really, really behind.
All right, so we're about ready to see here if it is going to be in that title room. Unknownavailability is going to be really careful with their magic here.
Yeah, speaking of which, we never saw half magic.
So there's number 20, here's number 21, and it is in the tile room this time around. So we have a tile room big key.
No, that's just rude by the sea.
But we will wait to finish up this big key guessing game, even though we know where it is. And we will wait to see that big key in that chest before we finish this out.
Well, there's a good thing they found Cape on the left side then. Makes this tile room a lot easier. You can just put on the cape and grab the wall, and you will save your magic for the gauntlet.
Yep, so yeah, for those of you who don't know, what's happening here is Unknownavailability has activated the cape, and when you have the cape activated, if you grab onto, an object, like a stationary object like this wall, that magic won't drain, so that's why it looks like there's something funky going on with the magic bar there. All right, and there we have it. Big key is in location number 22 in the tile room. So Unknownavailability on the way up the gauntlet now.
Yeah, and Zunker is trying to go full right, but already checked ice armors. So really hoping they don't think there's another chest behind here.
All right, and congratulations to Prolix, our Ganis, our big key guessing game winner tonight.
Okay, it looks like Zunker realized that it has to be tile room, but did lose some time doing that. Like, Unknown definitely has a lead at this point, but it could definitely change.
Oh yeah, this race is so close. It can definitely come down to execution. It could come down to one runner having a slightly better gauntlet than the other. I mean, even at this point, you can even say a Harry Aghanim fight can turn this race on its head. This is so close. Such a fantastic race to be able to watch tonight. I hope you all are definitely enjoying this.
Yeah, I know I am.
And with that, Zunker does get their big key. They are going to be on their way up toward the Gauntlet of Ganon's Tower. Meanwhile, Unknownavailability is making their way through here, is in the last room of the Gauntlet before Land Molus 2.
Going for the silver arrows on Lemolas. That one-shots them, gets 2 on the first cycle, so getting the last one here. So that's a pretty solid Lemolas fight.
Yeah, that was a very clean Gauntlet for Unknownavailability, so we are now in the home stretch here of Aghanim's Tower. Just have a couple things to tackle here. Of course, we have Moldarm coming up, and then Aga 2. very nice Wizard Room here from Unknownavailability.
Yeah, for sure. Having the mirror shield deflects the moons from the Wizards as well.
Alright, and Unknown is made their way through the torch room here. Zunker not too far behind, about ready to enter in the gauntlet. This is still anybody's race. Anything can happen here. And having everything they need, Unknownavailability likely not going to be checking any of these chests along the way. No point in doing so at this point.
Yeah, there's really nothing that could give them a massive advantage by checking chests. Oh, taking the fall. Self-inflicting fall against Trolled Arm, that hurts.
Yeah, that is really unfortunate. A fall in the Moldorm 2 fight that actually was not caused by Moldorm.
Oh,
and there's another
fall.
one. Oh, this is going to give Zunker a chance to catch up here. Zunker is in the last little bit of the gauntlet in the Lane Mullis 2 fight. This is just getting closer and closer.
Yeah, and you don't want to really like lose your temper on Shoulder Arm right before you're going into Ganon as well.
Yeah, but Unknownavailability does take down Moldorm 2 and finds a 5 arrow capacity upgrade in the Moldorm 2 chest, the final chest in the game before Aghanim 2. And Zunker right on Unknownavailability's heels here is about ready to head into the torch room. This is so close here. Still anybody's race.
Yeah, getting a really good first hit on Aga. I don't know if all of those 3 counted, but might have been triple. Seems like it didn't, because oh wait, no, he has 5. No, that should be fine now. Oh, okay. I think all of those 3 hit him at the same time, so it might just count as 1.
Yeah, having a little trouble here. So once again, oh, Zunker missed the torch here, so each runner having just a little hiccup here and there, but that is Aga 2 down for Unknownavailability, so Unknown is going to be the first one into the Ganon fight. Once again, this is still anybody's race. Zunker's not too far behind, just have to take down Moldorm 2 and hit on into Aghanim, and Unknownavailability is going to be dropping into their Ganon fight here.
Yeah, but at this point something has to go wrong for Unknown in order for Zunker to be able to make up this time.
Yeah, I mean this is definitely Unknown's race to lose at this point, but I mean, still anything can happen.
Yeah, Unknown into phase 2 of Ganon, using the hookshot in order to be safe from the fire bats.
Yeah, that was a very good use of that hookshot. Great dodges there. But Zunker takes down Moldorm 2 and is going to be heading on into Aghanim here. This is coming down to the wire.
Yeah, Unknown is out of phase 2, so just need to hit Ganon 2 more times to be into the last phase. And
Yeah,
with the
they're hitting.
silvers, that will make the last phase so much easier.
Yeah, and that is we're into phase 4 now, so 4 silver arrows into Ganon, and that'll
Getting
be
the torch
the
glitch.
race.
Ooh, that was close fire bat.
Alright, so there we have number 1, and this will make number 2.
Yeah, and trying to maybe set up for a double here. So one more hit is all that's needed. There's the last hit.
Yeah, and there we have it. Looks like Unknownavailability is gonna take this one today. We'll get to that time here very shortly.
Yeah, spam your GGs in chat for Unknown. This has been a really good race from both our runners.
Yeah, so Unknownavailability has finished with a time of 2 hours, 16 minutes, and 28 seconds. GG to Unknownavailability for taking this one down. And bear with me just one moment. I'm going to reach out to Unknownavailability to see if they want to join us for an interview.
I'm not sure if we said his official time, but it was 2 hours, 60 minutes, and 28 seconds. And Zunker is now in the Ganon fight as well. Using the red potion makes sense to just take it safe here into phase 2. So also going to use the hookshot strats to be able to dodge these fire bats a little bit easier.
Yeah, once again, great dodges from both of these runners with these fire bats.
Yeah, interface free now. Like this is just gonna be like one or 2 minutes. The total time apart from both these runners. It was super close, like the entire time. Going for double here, unfortunately misses, and it's not gonna get the torch glitch either. That's not like a huge problem if you have the silver arrows though. Just 2 more hits left.
Yeah, 2 more hits, and this will be it for Zunker.
This is a pretty good setup. Ooh. No! He takes a fall. Oh, that's super unfortunate. The fire bit hit him just as he was gonna shoot that that's third arrow. Going to get some safety potions. It makes sense, like so stocking up for round 2 against Ganon. So with blue potions and magic refilled again, Zunker is ready to get some revenge on Ganon here.
Alright, so we are back into the Ganon fight, so we will be getting unknown availability in here very shortly for the interview. So far, so good from Zunker.
Yeah, and using the cape this time has a lot of potions, so magic won't be a problem.
Yeah,
like
definitely.
the last phase can be tricky with those fire bats, because like when the fire bat hits you, you are thrown away to like the opposite direction that you're holding, and like instinctively you will be holding away from the pit because you don't want to fall down. But unfortunately, that kind of makes you fall towards the pit instead.
All right, and with that, we are joined by unknown availability. Welcome in, GG.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, GG for sure. Well played.
Yeah. About that.
Yeah, this was definitely a very exciting race to watch. This was back and forth the entire time. I mean, heading into Ganon's Tower, you guys were 40 seconds apart.
Ooh, wow. I knew it was close, man. I was sweating bullets. I knew I was close. Man,
So-
that fire rod though, good lord, and I don't even want to talk about Pod. Yeah, you ever done a dumb that your future dumbs are even more dumbed out about? That's exactly what happened in Pod.
Yeah. But, it happens, and, it looks like, I mean, it didn't cost you the race, but, once again, like I said, this was such a close race. It was insane. We were on the edge of our seat the entire time.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad we put on a good show. The whole time I'm sitting there thinking, he's found the fire rod. Where is this thing? I even did the gambles as far as going into TR first. Did the gamble as far as going into Skull Woods first. I didn't want to go to Mire. I should have just dipped Mire as soon as I got the ability to get there after getting the flute from the Ice Palace items.
All right, well, just want to introduce, we do have Zunker, who has joined us, who did finish with an official time of 2 hours, 23 minutes, and 4 seconds. Welcome, and congratulations on finishing this nail-biter of a race.
Thank you. GG Unknown. Yeah, that was an interesting seed.
Yeah, GG Zunker. That was definitely crazy, man. That fire rod, dude. That fire rod.
That was nuts.
Yeah, that really, the whole time I'm sitting there thinking you got it. I'm just like, I'm where is this thing? Where is it? And I'm knowing it's in Mire the whole time, and I'm just not going there. I even dipped Skull Woods to not go to Mire because it was a pendant dungeon, but lo and behold, you had to go in there. You had to go into Ice Palace to go get it. So, oh man.
Yeah, and your routes this race was really similar. Like both of you did the same decisions almost all the time, and the few times you kind of did diverged, you just did the reverse straight after, like checking the other things the other runner did.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I honestly felt like it was a fairly linearish seed. I mean, it seemed like it kept telling me pushing you to the certain places, and I kind of wish I went to Ice Palace sooner. I really had in my mind. I think I skipped it for a bit, but that was just unbelievable.
Yeah, I was putting off pendant dungeons quite a while myself, trying to avoid going in them, and I ended up going into Ice Palace, doing all the other checks because I put off the Jeremiah. I put off the frog in the chest for so long, and did that alongside of like getting the flute and things like that after doing the magic bat and just not wanting to go to Mire the entire time. Oh man.
I understand that. I think I don't remember exactly how my route went, but I very much did like Ice Palace, got the flute, which got the magic, then went to Mire, and then got the fire rod, and didn't mind the 2 dungeons I had left at that point.
Yeah, and then of course we get tile room number 22.
Yeah, and I almost wanted to check that first, to be completely honest. I'm like, no, I better check everything else first.
I almost did it right after left side. I almost did it first to see what I would get and to see if it would give me any kind of advantage. And lo and behold, it would the one time. But it's like, no, don't do that. That's only 1. There's 4 down there. Go do it. Go do the 4.
Yeah, exactly. And I kind of regret not doing it. And a lot of dumb mistakes towards the end, especially. Just.
And of course, every item in the game possible, with the exception of full hearts and things like that. And did you go check and see what was on Bumper Cave to go see if the fire rod was there?
No, I skipped Bumper Cave and Grove. I got to a point where I was like, screw it, I'm just gonna go to Ice Palace, and that was kind of my.
Yeah, that was the 4th sword. That was the butter sword. So.
Yeah, I never got the butter.
Yeah. Yep, I never went back for that, obviously, because the cape was in Ganon's Tower. So, but oh man, GG for sure, man. GG, it was a good race.
Yeah, GG to you as well.
Yeah, but yeah, this was definitely like I said, a nail biter of a race. You guys were constantly switching leads here. Zunker, I told Unknownavailability right before you joined that going into Ganon's Tower, you guys were 40 seconds apart. It was so close.
Wow. Who went in? Out of curiosity, did he go in first?
Yeah, Unknown was the first one in there, about 40 seconds ahead. I think you were just exiting Turtle Rock or finishing up Trinex as Unknown was heading into Ganon's Tower. I mean,
Yeah,
it was such a close race. I mean, I know Walter here had mentioned it before, but I mean, the routing that you guys took throughout this entire seed was nearly identical. I mean, dungeon order that you guys did. I mean, and it was kind of linear, but even making the Turtle Rock check, both of you guys checked Turtle Rock.
Yes.
I mean, just the decision making in this seed. It was like, it was like you guys were both like, I don't know, like, like on the same like wavelength,
Yeah, I mean, that is very interesting. I mean, I didn't feel like I will say though. I mean, I don't regret any of the decisions that I made. Obviously, I think a lot of people probably would have made the same plays. That Turtle Rock often has its last item in Turtle Rock seemingly lately. So I'm like, well, what the hell? At least we knew right away that we weren't going to be able to get there. Although I kind of forgot.
Yeah, I decided to jump in there pretty decisively. I hadn't even checked Graveyard Ledge at that point, and I was just like, let's go do this, because I've seen 4 or 5 seeds in a row now watching other people play where they've gone into Turtle Rock and just gotten all the way back to Laser Bridge, and that's their last item. And I'm like, good lord, let's go all the way back to Laser Bridge. Let's do it. And the big key being on the first chest, I was like, all right, cool. I can pseudo go mode Turtle Rock, whatever that means. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Same.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend going back and watching this race. I think you guys would both be surprised at just once again with the decision making and the routing, how everything was so identical all the way through. It was truly amazing and definitely fun to watch. It was probably one of the more entertaining races that I've personally had the opportunity to commentate. So I do want to thank you for that.
That's great. I want to actually thank y'all. Thank you, Walter and Arja, for commentating. Thank you. I didn't catch. I think the tracker was Floofy, right? Rainbow Floofy or something like that.
Raspberry Floofy. Yeah.
Yes, Floofy. Thank you for tracking. I really appreciate that, as well as Restreamer. I'm sure that was Feasel's doing. Fantastic job. Sorry for not starting my timer because I'm a noob.
I did that my last race.
I completely forgot to do that because I was just like, let's go, man, and I was all like keyed up. But thank you all for being a part of the behind the scenes and front of the scenes group, because without y'all we wouldn't be able to be restreamed and be in front of a live audience. So I appreciate that, guys.
Absolutely, I second those sentiments. This is probably one of the best things I've ever done. I absolutely have enjoyed every second of this tournament, even if I'm a little down right now with the loss. But I mean, it's been fun nonetheless.
I'm not down. No, I'm playing. I'm joking.
Oh, ouch, man! Out in the soul, man.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to PJ salt you there, man. My bad.
I'm cool. I'm joking, man. It's all right. No biggie.
All right, man. Hey, again, GG, man. It was awesome.
GG, man.
All right, so with that, I think we're going to go ahead and get everything wrapped up here. Once again, great race for both of these runners. Unknownavailability, Zunker2therescue, fantastic race. I do want to say, once again, thank you for Walter for, joining this ride with me tonight. I have been RJ, and Walter, I will leave this off for you for our final words tonight.
Yeah, I think that Unknown said it best, that thanks to everyone who's been a part of this tournament so far and making all of this possible. Like, it's a huge tournament, and it takes a lot of people to get everything right. So thanks to everyone who's done that, and big GGs to both our runners.
Thank you.
Absolutely.